Hello, my name is Lance and welcome to my channel, Work Hard to Be Lazy. This is going to be the first video that I'm going to be recording. It's actually going to be a retake because I wasn't satisfied with the first video. Pretty much just going over everything, adjusted the lighting a little bit. It just got a mic so that sound quality is better. Hopefully I actually post this one, but at the end of the day, I guess we'll see. The talk is cheap and I still haven't gotten anything up thus far, so we'll see. Alright, so today's topic we're going to be talking about is going to be if you can't afford something versus should you buy something. We live in a society today that's very centered around buying things. Commerce moves our economy, but it doesn't always benefit the individual. Actually, a lot of us are crippled by our reliance on the purchase of goods and services. Simple things such as buying a cup of coffee to getting food delivered or just simple fixes around the house. We are so dependent on other people being able to provide us with that service or good that we don't know how to do without. However, the average American could probably save quite a bit of money if we just looked at our day-to-day habits and spendings. Just because you can afford something doesn't always mean that you should buy it. Of course, a lot of people would rebuttal saying that, oh, it's not that much, it's not going to hurt me in the long run. All these minor, small amount, they do add up, and fairly quickly, if I may add. But it's not always about the monetary value of the item itself, but the mental conditioning that we impose on ourselves when we go through these spending habits. Believing that these small purchases won't equate to anything is actually a big mistake, because they do, and they actually add up quite quickly. Based on a research article done by pbfy.com back in 2019, the average millennial actually spent about $2,000 on coffee each year. In the research, they deem millennials anybody from the age of 25 to 34. That includes me. However, I can tell you I do not spend that much on coffee. I do have a few friends that Starbucks is their getaway destination. But that's besides the point. And you might be thinking, oh, it's because they're millennials, they're young and dumb and bad with money that they spend that much on coffee each year. However, based on the research, the next group, people from the age of 35 to 44, spent the second most, averaging about $1,400 each year. If they would have invested that same amount of money into Apple stock last year, when it was around $70, it would have grown roughly 83%. Meaning if you're Gen X, it would have grown roughly $1,162, which would put your total at $2,572. But if they're a millennial, it would have grown $1,660, making their total a whopping $3,660. That is a pretty penny. That means either group could have bought the iPhone 12 Pro Max, a nice case, the USB-C power adapter that you need to charge the phone, all in straight cash if they would have just saved themselves from their daily coffee consumption habit. Actually, I take that back. Not the coffee consumption habit, but the coffee spending habit. Because let's face it, nobody's spending $2,000 a year if they're making their coffee at home. Either that or they're just really, really caffeinated. All that from a small little coffee purchasing habit. Crazy, right? Just imagine how much you're spending on bigger ticket items. Obviously, this video would be pretty pointless if I just made all those statements without actually giving any tips or advice on how to remediate this little issue. So I put together a list of a few questions to help you when deciding if you should make those purchases. Question number 1 is, do you need it? Now be honest, is it a need or just a want? Are you buying it out of necessity or just to flex on people? It goes without saying that these questions are only going to be as effective as you are honest. So if you lie to yourself, it's not going to help anybody. Obviously, this all depends on you. Everybody's needs are different. However, it's very easy to distinguish if it's actually a need for survival or just a want, and you know when it's just something you absolutely want to have, but it's not a need. Question number 2. Is it going to make you money? Which means you have to consider if it's a good investment or not. Think to yourself, will this make me more money? Or perhaps pay for itself? Is it an appreciating asset or a depreciating asset? At the end of the day, the goal is to increase your net worth. Question number 3, is it going to bring value into your life? Now, this one's a little bit tricky because it is pretty open for interpretation. Like, are you getting some kind of non-monetary value from it? Maybe it's something you can't put a price on, like spending time with friends and family, making fond memories. Perhaps it's related to your health, because as my friend Kevin always say, health equals wealth. And question number 4, is it a good return on time? This one in particular is going to be more directed towards people who are a little bit more financially stable. When you're under a certain income threshold, it's a good idea to become self-efficient in most tasks to just help alleviate some of that income deficit. However, once you become a little more financially stable, it's a good idea to consider the return on time. This is what the rich and wealthy do. They pay for services because they realize that their time is more valuable. Like instead of taking an hour to mow the lawn themselves, they pay for a lawn service. Let's say it costs $40. That money is well spent because they know that an hour of their time is worth more than the $40. I do have one more piece of advice. It's not a question, however, it is something that I use personally to help me get to where I am. I'm not crazy rich or wealthy by any means, but it just helped me afford this $300,000 house in a year and a half, starting from $0. I might make a video on that just for anybody who might be interested in my story. I just want people to know that financial stability is something that they can obtain with just a little bit of work. This last piece of advice is aimed more towards those bigger ticket items. After going through all those questions, consider waiting a week to see if it's a legitimate, purposeful purchase or just an impulsive thought. Like I said, I use this method myself and it really does help with impulsive purchases. Like when I was on my journey to purchase this house, I had an impulsive thought to buy a car straight cash. Not once, but twice. However, because I waited a week, those urges subsided, and I'm so thankful because it did lead me to finally end up getting this house. If I did give into one of those urges, I probably wouldn't have been able to afford this house so soon, and it probably would have delayed my journey quite a bit. So my suggestion would be to start with bigger ticket items, things that maybe are $100 plus. Over time, this thought process will become second nature and you won't have to put so much effort into going through each question. And you might even apply it to smaller ticket items out of habit. Anyways, I appreciate you all for watching this video. Please consider leaving a like if you found this video helpful or useful. And I hope these tips will bring you all value and help you get to your financial goals, or at the very least, get you a little bit more financial stability and perhaps make you realize that you might not be as broke as you think you are, and that saving a few extra $100 is well within your capabilities. Again, appreciate you all. Till next time.